Am I all that is left? By the time you read this, whoever you are, I will be dead. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think anyone will find this. But if by some slim chance anyone does, I'm going to tell you the story of how all this happened. How all of humanity just ended with no warning. To explain this strange turn of events, I will start from the beginning. The date was May 10th, 2010. I was riding home on my motorbike after a night shift at the pub I was working at. When I had left the pub, the wind was calm. Well, as calm as it can be when you're riding at 90 kilometers an hour in the middle of the night. As I kept riding, the wind started to pick up speed and get louder and louder, to the point where the wind was even drowning out all the noise from the engine. Back before I left the pub, the radio behind the bar was playing the forecast, but oddly enough, there was no mention of any strong winds or storms in the area. After what felt like hours of driving, I finally got home. The wind was still blowing at an ungodly speed, but the wind chimes on my front veranda seemed to be affected by the wind a bit differently. Now, what I say next may sound a little crazy, as it only lasted for a second. But as I got off my bike to go inside my house, the wind chimes made a sound that made my blood go cold. It was a sound I had never heard before, and never want to hear again. It was like the chimes themselves were in an unspeakable amount of agony, or perhaps they were somehow feeling what the wind was feeling. Shortly after hearing whatever the hell that noise was, I quickly went inside my house. As I closed the front door, the wind returned to normal. After I closed the front door, I took off my helmet and stumbled to the kitchen to grab a beer. After that, everything went dark. What comes after I passed out is nothing short of a bizarre experience. When I woke up, the only thing to greet me was the humming of the fridge next to me, and the feeling of some cold liquid dripping out of my ears. I reached to my right ear to see what was coming out of it. At first, I thought it was going to be blood, or maybe some of the beer that was recently in the broken bottle. Instead, it was this weird blue liquidy stuff, and it was giving off the smell of something foul, like rotten food or something that had recently died. What was even stranger was that, given how early it was, I should have heard the crows, or anything that makes any sort of noise. But no. There were no chirps, no rustling, not even any noise from the wind chimes. There was no sound whatsoever coming from outside my house. Keep in mind, at this point I was still laying on my kitchen floor, covered in broken glass and spilled beer. God knows how long I was laying there, but I picked myself up to see why it was so quiet outside. My mind at this point was ablaze with questions. Why did I pass out last night when I hadn't even opened my beer? Why was there weird blue crap coming out of my ears? And why was it so damn quiet outside? Luckily, I didn't have to wait long to find out why it was dead silent. After stumbling out of the front door onto my veranda, I found the problem. Everything was dead. The birds, the trees, everything. I looked down to see that the birds had the same weird blue stuff coming out of their ears. Hell, even the trees were dripping with the stuff. After witnessing all this in front of me, I panicked and ran back inside to turn on the news. I had to see if this was happening to anyone else, so I switched on the TV, only to see the news playing, but no one there. I switched through all the other channels, and every channel was the same. I scrambled to my phone and tried calling everyone on my contact list. Not a single person picked up. At this point, I started to freak out. There was no sound coming from outside my house, and no one was picking up their phones. With no other choice, I grabbed my helmet, jumped on my bike, and drove to town to try to find anyone. When I arrived in town, it was more of the same. The bodies everywhere had blue shit pouring out of their ears. The worst part of all of this wasn't the fact that everyone I knew was most likely dead, or even the stench of the corpses lining the streets. No, it was the near dead silence that was all around me. Heck, the only thing keeping me company was the roaring of the bike engine and the heavy thumping of my heart. My idea as to why all this stuff happened? If I had to guess, I'd say it was that damn wind, or something that the wind carried. I don't know. As weird as it sounds, somehow the wind also changed nature. The cold of winter started to get more intense, much more than it should normally be able to get. The blue shit from my ears kept dripping every now and then, and the more it came out of my ears, the more my head would ring, and the more I'd lose my ability to hear. To date, I have yet to see another live human being. It's starting to get colder, and since everyone is dead, that means no power. No power means no heat, and no heat means I'm slowly going to freeze to death. So, if you find my corpse, sadly, I won't be the best company. Good luck, and try not to die like I did. Regards, JS.